Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of Dreamcast emulation on the RGB10 Max. Now the full list of games that I'm going to try are in the timestamps below in the description. So if there's a particular game that you would like to see, just go in there and you'll be able to find it. So I'll just go into arcade mode here. Maxi has always been my favorite character on Soul Calibur, and I have to say Soul Calibur is one of the games that I played the most when I had my Dreamcast. I think it's still rated the best Dreamcast game of all times through Metacritic. So as you can see, it runs really well. I mean, the sound is a little bit crackly, but apart from that, it's running pretty well. Oh, it runs really smoothly on this device, so I'm really happy with that. I wish the sound was a little bit better, not as crackly. But on this device, it runs really well, so I'm really happy with that. Kilik was actually the first character that I had tried when I first played Soul Calibur, but I really fell in love with the goofy attitude of Maxi and his nunchuck combat style. So it's just so good the way he runs. It makes me really optimistic on future devices. You know, like when we get a stronger chipset that is a little bit more powerful and allows us to run these more complicated games. But so far on this, it's absolutely fantastic. I'm absolutely loving how Soul Calibur runs on the RGB 10 Max. So this was such a cool game when it first came out. I had actually never traded my copy of Soul Calibur. I had it for the entire time that I had my Dreamcast. So good, so good. Brings back so many memories. When you can't beat them, throw them out. Oh, wrong direction, Maxi. So I think we'll stop there and try a different game. So next, one of my second favorite game is Power Stone 1 and 2. So when it comes out, we will try that one. So Power Stone 1 and 2, but I played a little bit more of Power Stone 2 really, so we'll jump into that one.
Welcome to the fight for your freedom. Escape from the castle.
The stage music, oh my god, I played this game for so long.
A solid beginning may lead to a perfect ending.
Brings back so many memories. This is the beauty about these handheld. They literally make you revive your entire childhood. That was one thing that was really funny about these stages. It's such a goofy fighting game. Obviously the aim is to have all 3 power stones. Oh, let's grab that red one.
The chase is on.
One thing I need to mention as well on this device is it's very dim, so I struggle to see on some games on this device. Like right now, this is at max brightness and I can barely make out my character. So you know, I actually fell off the stage there simply because I didn't even see my character, but it's just because the screen is not really bright, so that's the issue that I've always had with the this RGB10 Max compared to a device like the RG351. This is very dim. I'll say about maybe half the brightness of the RG351. So you have to bear that in mind. Didn't do anything there. But as you can see, the game itself runs really well. So it's definitely a game that runs really well on this device, so no problem in terms of emulation. The sound is not bad either, compared to even Soul Calibur. So I think this one definitely runs a little bit better than Soul Calibur in terms of sound, but Soul Calibur was extremely playable. So what I'll do is I'll put a sort of traffic light system on each of the games. So they'll be either run well, playable, or barely playable. So that will be the system that I'm going to use. And that's it for Power Stone. As you can see, it runs really well. Next, we are going to try Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi 1 and 2 were two of my favorite games. So we'll try those ones next. So now let's try Crazy Taxi. One of my absolute favorites as well. I think the concept was so original at the time, a game where you're a taxi driver. It was so unique at the time. So it had a huge appeal with an arcade play style that appealed to almost everybody, really. So this was a little gem at the time of its release.
It's party time. Let's have some fun.
We'll just play the arcade mode.
Alright, let's go make some crazy money. Go ahead and pick a car and drive it. Speedy Joe. Yeah, we gonna have some fun. It's time to make some
Ooh.
crazy money. Are you
Okay.
ready? Here we go.
It's running really slow. Really slow. Yeah, it's not great. I remember playing this game so much that I knew every single delivery spot when I first had this game. So you can see, you can hear it. The sound is really crackly, and it's really running quite slowly on this one. So it's a little bit of a disappointment. We can try some other firmware down the line later on just to see if we can get an improved performance from on this game. But so far it's really not running great. I mean, it's playable, just about playable, but apart from that, it's not a great experience, and it's something that I always complain when it comes to these Chinese retro emulation handhelds. They are not exactly truthful about how well the device can emulate some of the system. I mean, we were able to play Soul Calibur earlier that played quite well, Power Stone that played quite well, but a lot of the games are not actually running that well on these devices. So I wouldn't have an issue if they advertised by saying, he runs Nintendo 64 and under and some Dreamcast games. But they make it, in the advertisement, they make it sound like you can literally play all these systems without any hiccups. So, which is really not the case. So, Crazy Taxi 1, I will give it a score of barely playable, really. It's not really a great experience, to be honest. You could play it if you really want it, but it's not a playable, a pleasant experience, to be honest. So we are going to switch and try Crazy Taxi 2 and see how that one runs. Now, let's try Crazy Taxi 2 and let's see if that runs a little better than Crazy Taxi 1 on this device. So,
Crazy Taxi 2. It's party time. Let's have some fun. Let's go,
very similar in terms of the menu system, very similar to Crazy Taxi 1. They didn't really change a winning formula. Yeah, it seems like it's running exactly like Crazy Taxi 1. I'm just trying to just drive around just to have a feel. But yeah, it runs exactly like Crazy Taxi 1. Crackling sound and a very slow frame rate. So in reality, I suppose the games probably use the same engines. So there's no surprise there really that Crazy Taxi 1 and Crazy Taxi 2 run exactly the same, which is really poorly. I suppose you can play it if you really want to, but it's not the most pleasant experience you'll have on this device. So I heard Retro Oz does a better job. So we might try Retro Oz down the line, but I wanted to just try this and give you an idea of how Dreamcast games run out of the box. Because right now it feels like it's maybe 20 frames per second, something like that. That's how it feels to me anyway. We don't have the FPS count on screen, but it certainly doesn't feel like it's running at 30 frame, let alone 60. So yeah, it's playable, barely playable. So yeah, it's not great really. So let's see if we can drop this person off, and then we'll stop the game there. Yeah, we failed this drop off. Yeah, so definitely runs exactly like Crazy Taxi 1. So it's between barely playable and playable, depending on your tolerance level. The next game we are going to try is Sonic Adventure 2. Now, Sonic Adventure 2 was, and probably is still, my favorite Sonic of all time. Simply because they introduced my favorite character in the Sonic franchise in Shadow. And I remember playing this game with my younger brother because you had the battle mode. and I used to always use Shadow, and my brother used to always use Sonic. And we played these for years, really. It's one of our favorite games. He loves Sonic, but I'm such a massive fan of Shadow. So it was really, really, for me, it was the best game, really, the best Sonic game, I would say, that I had played up to that point. There are some great Sonic 2D games, but I don't think there's been a 3D Sonic that's been better than Sonic the Hedgehog, really. Sonic Adventure 2. And I don't think there's been a greater villain in the Sonic franchise, better than Shadow. So, yeah, it's definitely my favorite Sonic. As you can see, the game runs okay. It's not as bad as the game we've just played, which was Crazy Taxi 1 and 2. It runs pretty well, actually. The sound is a little bit awful. There's a lot of crackling in the sound, but in terms of frames per second, it's not too bad. So this one definitely feels playable. I just wish the audio was just better quality, really. But it certainly runs pretty well. I think that's the in this game they also introduced the grind on the rails, which was a pretty new concept at the time. Oh, I can't even do it. There's some serious slowdowns from time to time, though. It was very surprising. The sound is really off. Like, the game itself runs okay, but the sound is terrible. So apart from a couple of slowdowns here and there, the game itself it's pretty playable. I could actually complete the game, from beginning to end, if he run this way. So just bringing back so many memories. This it runs really well. That sequence ran really, really well. Oh, I missed that. Ooh. Yeah, but you can see it runs okay. I think my biggest issue are the slowdowns, the occasional slowdowns, and the music and the sound crackling all the time. But overall, it's definitely playable. So let's try a different game. So the last game we are going to be trying today is Resident Evil Code Veronica. This game was actually a Dreamcast exclusive when it first came out, I believe. It was a fan favorite. It still kept the tank control, so it wasn't like Resident Evil 5 or the ones that came after, but it was one of the newest 3D Resident Evil, but that kept the original feel of Resident Evil 1 till 3. So it's a game that I really liked. So we can see the cutscene. The sound is awful. It doesn't look like it's running at full speed. But what strikes me is how poor the sound is.
Resident Evil.
I think we'll just skip that. It's very dim. You know, the screen brightness on the RGB10 Max is not really high. So even at 100% brightness, the screen is really dark. I mentioned in the review, I can barely play this device outdoors in sunlight, whereas I can do that on both my RG350M and my RG351P. So if there's a second batch of this device, I really hope Powkitty would really improve the brightness on the screen. I don't know if they did that to conserve battery, to have a longer battery life. But I really don't like how dim this screen is, to be honest. Yeah, it's, you know, playing through the camera, I can barely, you know, see where I'm going because the screen is so dim. I don't know if you guys can see anything. But essentially this is max brightness, and I'm pretty sure looking at the monitor you are seeing a lot more of the reflection of the camera. So if there's a flaw on this RGB10 Max, it's definitely how dim the screen is, because at max brightness Code Veronica on this stage is nearly unplayable, and I'm indoors with decent lighting. You know, I can't imagine having to play this outdoors in direct sunlight. It's just not possible. So I'm going to stop the let's play here because obviously the Resident Evil is really not playable. But those are just a few of my favorite games. I loved Shenmue when it came out, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find the ROM, a working ROM for Shenmue. So I'm going to do a part 2 of this video where I try more Dreamcast games, but with a different firmware just to see if it is improved performance. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, that's very appreciated. I'm new to YouTube, so every like and every subscribe will be much appreciated. Thank you very much and have a good rest of your day. Bye for now.